Hello, this is Bill Meridian speaking to you again from Vienna, Austria. This is the Cycles Research Mundane Global Scan. The subject for today is the power points in the zodiac, the cardinal points. The power points in the zodiac are points that are essentially fixed. They do move 1 degree every 72 years, but for the lifetime of any one of us, they are essentially, as I said, fixed. They don't move. There are several different categories. Right now, we're looking at the cardinal points. So, as I said, these are fixed points in the ecliptic. This is a subject of a chapter in my book, Mastering Geopolitical Prediction. These are the cardinal points, which we'll look at today, the planetary nodes, things like the galactic center and the invariable plane, and there are certainly others. So, we're only going to cover the first group, which are the cardinal points. This is very simple. These are 0 degrees of the cardinal signs: 0 Aries, 0 Cancer, 0 Libra, and 0 Capricorn. In addition, 15 degrees of the fixed signs are also considered to be in the cardinal axis because they are 45 degrees from 0 of the cardinal signs. This was developed by the Hamburg School of Astrology by Alfred Witte, Friedrich Siegren, way back between World War I and II. It's very simple to apply this no matter what system of astrology you use. Planets close to these degrees find ready expression in the world. For example, if you're a writer and you have Mercury at 0 Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, then people are going to hear what you say and read what you write much more readily than they will an author who does not have this planet at those degrees. It is also what you're known for. You can't conceal what is represented by that planet when it sits at the world point. Everyone sees it, which is great when you want to be seen and not great if you are doing something secretive. So I leave an orb of about 1.5 degrees for conjunctions to the world points, but only a degree for planets at 15 fixed. Now, how do you use the world points? Well, on the day that Bernie Madoff news broke, Mercury was conjunct Pluto at 0 Capricorn on December 11, 2008. So it was very dramatic and drastic news, Mercury-Pluto. And as my old friend Arch Crawford says, whenever there is a serious stock market decline, there is usually always a hard aspect of Mercury and Pluto. That is, a hard aspect of Mercury and Pluto, which occur frequently, do not cause the stock market declines, but when we have the stock market declines, we have hard aspects of Mercury and Pluto. So in this case, it was dramatic news concerning finances, and it was right at 0 Capricorn, so it dominated all of the news services. If you're selecting a date, doing electional astrology, and you want to attract attention, you place planets at the world points. I have actually had clients when I was living in the Middle East who had tax havens, they had businesses they didn't want anyone to know about, they had residences in foreign countries, and in those cases I had to avoid the world points and place most of the planets below the horizon and not have any planets angular, because these guys were trying to keep something secret. Now, if you're releasing a book, you wait until Mercury is at a world point. If you're opening up a Venus-related business, which could be a clothing boutique, a beauty salon, a place of recreation, having Venus at the world points certainly will help. Now, if you're doing an electional and you want little attention, avoid these points, as President Richard Nixon found out. Now, let's look at his chart. Down in the 4th house, we see Mercury at 0 Capricorn 0, 0. It doesn't get any closer than that. And there's Mars, 29 Sagittarius, 44, only 16 minutes away, and there's Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is a little outside the orb, but because of this big conjunction, we'll allow it. Now, look across to the 10th house, and what do we see? But there's Pluto at 28, Gemini, 39, within the 1.5 degree orb, but because it connects to all these other planets. Notice it's Mercury, Pluto again. And then let's go to the 7th house, which some of you may not be familiar with, the Uranian system, that funny symbol. It looks like two horns and a Mercury symbol. 13, Pisces 28, out of orb, but we're going to allow it. Why? Because it is square. It makes this whole configuration into a T-square. Now, he had Mercury and Jupiter at a world point, and we all heard about what? The Watergate tapes. And note that Mercury was square the Uranian planet Admetus. Admetus rules rotary motion. Tape recorders. It also represents hard drives. This was very significant in Hillary Clinton's chart when the news broke that she had a State Department server in the basement of her home in Chappaquiddick. In fact, Uranus hit her Admetus, which was 45 degrees to her Mercury. So it was a sudden shock to her reputation. And Uranus Admetus, by the way, as a practical advice, does represent hard drive crashes, so always back your data up. Also, Admetus rules enclosed spaces. So Nixon thought he was safe and secure in the Oval Office. So that's the lesson. Now, I like to call Hillary Clinton Mrs. World Points, because this is the best example that I can provide anyone. If I just say the word Hillary, everyone knows who I'm talking about. If, like saying Elvis, although some younger people may think of Elvis Costello before they think of Elvis Presley, her moon is 29 Pisces 11. She's one of the most famous women in the world. And there's the moon up in the 10th house. And by the way, this birth time, 8 p.m., was obtained by Joyce Levine, my friend from Boston, who went to a book signing ceremony, had Hillary sign her book, and asked for her birth time, and Hillary replied 8 p.m. I've been using it, I've rectified it, and this is the accurate chart. It's not 8 a.m. Now let's look at the ascendant. 29 Gemini 50, only 10 minutes off of 0 Cancer. Go to the other side of the horoscope. There's Juno, 29 Sagittarius, 42 minutes, 18 minutes off of 0 Capricorn. Now let's go down to house number 3. There are Mars and Pluto, 14 Leo 15 and 14 Leo 51. So we have the moon, the ascendant, descendant, Juno, and Mars, Pluto, all hooked into the world points. What does it mean? Well, one thing it does mean is her husband's eruptions with the ladies, what they call the bimbo eruptions. I was trying to find another word other than that. But she was the fixer who came in and tried to keep these ladies quiet. Now, she also, however, is an advocate for children's rights, which you could read Juno that way. But Juno, Mars, Pluto shows up very strong in burglaries, rapes, and other such crimes. It was during the presidential election, on a 90-degree dial, her progressed midheaven equaled Mars, Pluto. So I concluded that there would be some hint of a past crime, or she might have a temperamental outburst in public, which I kind of doubted. But that was when Comey said that there would be a second investigation, and of course we all know the results of the election. So I'm certain this chart is correct. And here on page 8, I simply summarized what I just said on page 7. Now, Wyatt Earp was born the day of a lunar eclipse at 0 Cardinal. His sun, 29 Pisces 02, we do not know the time. It's March 19th, 1848. Famous gunfighter, famous sheriff. How many movies have they made about the gunfight at the OK Corral? So number 1, his sun is at 0 of the Cardinals, and it was a lunar eclipse. If you were born in 49 and grew up, you watched the Wyatt Earp show on television with Hugh O'Brien. After that, they've made movie after movie, so his name never fades away. Sun at 0 Aries. Anthony Perkins, the actor, born April 4, 1932. I do not know the time, so I use 6 a.m. That's not the point. The point is, his Mars is 0 Aries 54. What movie is he most famous for? Psycho. For what scene? The shower scene. What's he holding in his hand but a knife? Mars at 0 Aries. He's famous for the psycho shower scene, and also he was gay at a time when it wasn't accepted to come out. So I understand from my readings about him that he suffered quite a bit from this. So when you think of H. Ross Perot, you probably think he's a very wealthy man. Well, his Jupiter is 0 Cancer 07. Now, conversely, when you think of Saddam Hussein, what do you think? Well, his Saturn is 0 Libra. So the world blockaded him and blockaded his country before the invasion. Now, eclipses at 0 of the world points are very potent. Here we see one coming up June 21, 2020. I'll be releasing further videos about what this means in its entirety, because there's quite a bit to say about any eclipse. But here we show the chart for 6/21/2020, 1:41:18 a.m. EST in New York. And there you see the sun and moon, 0 Cancer 21. The last eclipse at this degree was June 21, 2001. Its activation by transiting Mars occurred on 9/11. So the 9/11 attack, could there be a bigger event? Could there be any better demonstration of the power of eclipses at 0 Cardinal than that one? And keep your eyes on Prince William, who was born on the day of a solar eclipse at 0 Cancer on June 21, 1982. So in 2020, his birthday, his solar return, will be the eclipse chart. He will likely become much more prominent in 2020. Charles Jane, during his analysis of World Wars I and II, some of which is in my book, Predictive Power of Eclipse Paths, stated that any royal born on the day of a solar eclipse usually was the last one in the dynastic line. That is, it was under that person's reign that dynasty ended. And here we see his chart, June 21, 1982, 9:03 p.m. BST, that's British Standard Time for London. And there we see the sun, 0 Cancer 06, the moon, 4 Cancer 57. And what has Prince Harry come out and said? This is a direct quote, and I give you the link so you can read the entire article if you wish. We are involved in modernizing the British monarchy. We are not doing this for ourselves, but for the greater good of the people, Harry told Newsweek magazine. Is there anyone of the royal family who wants to be king or queen? I don't think so, but we will carry out our duties at the right time. So, I think I can say that somehow Harry and William are going to terminate the dynasty of which they are part, most likely exchanging it for some place in the New World Order. In other words, they'll move from the divine right of kings, they'll turn over the last vestiges of power and recognition to the state. And I believe that eclipse will propel him into a very important place in the New World Order, the NWO. So what mundane principles from the book have we touched upon in this video? Planets at the world points are important. That's number 1. 2, maintain a large database. If I didn't have Prince William, Anthony Perkins, Wyatt Earp, Hillary in the database, I wouldn't be able to do this research. And 3, look at past activations. So this is the 4th video. Here are the first 3. The first one was China and the USA, and we have replaced that and have amplified the volume so you can listen to it a little better now. The other 2 will probably do the same thing. Number 2 is Trump's birth time, and the 3rd one was about impeachment. That's the book, Mastering Geopolitical Prediction, Applied Mundane Astrology. And you can obtain it at BillMeridian.com, where you can also look at the Cycles Research Early Warning Service, which covers stocks, bonds, gold, and political forecasts. So thank you for listening today. Until the next time, goodbye.